We want to analyze the Florida primary now with Jeffrey Frieden, political economist and professor of government at Harvard University, who joins us from Boston. Good to have you here again, Jeffrey. In Florida, Romney outspent Gingrich more than 4-1, literally carpet bombing his opponents. On Monday, for example, 5 Romney ads aired in less than 15 minutes of a local Jacksonville newscast. Is this going to be the playbook for the rest of the primaries?
Well, it will be if Romney has to spend money to beat Gingrich. On the other hand, if he seems to be ahead by enough not to have to spend more of his war chest, he'll save it for the general elections, I would imagine. The problem he faced in Florida was that he had lost the South Carolina primary, and it was absolutely essential for him to put on a good showing in Florida, which he did. So I think he concentrated his resources in Florida to make sure that he did as well as he, in fact, turned out to do. My guess is that he won't need to spend as much over the next month or so to beat Gingrich. But if the primaries start to get closer, he will pull out all the big financial guns once more.
Now, we have questioned Romney's ability to inspire excitement before. Have Republican voters become more enthusiastic about him as his election numbers would suggest?
Well, I think they've become enthusiastic about him as the person who can beat Barack Obama. I think he does not inspire the kind of extraordinary enthusiasm that you sometimes see for the supporters of Ron Paul or even perhaps Newt Gingrich. He's seen as competent, reliable, as someone with administrative and business experience. But most important, I think, for the average Republican primary voter, he's seen as someone who can beat Barack Obama, and that's what they seem to care most about. Most of the exit polls indicated that the majority of those voting for Romney in Florida were voting for him because they thought he was the most electable candidate in the race.
Well, let's take a look at Gingrich now. At 68 and already 14 years past his speakership, this is likely his last chance at the political prize that he has been coveting for at least 2 decades. Now, he appears deadly serious about a long, bloody march all the way to the convention. Is there really a chance he can turn this thing around?
Well, there is a chance, but I would say it is very, very slim. If Gingrich does extraordinarily well in some of the southern primaries, such as those coming up on Super Tuesday in early March, then he might be able to turn it around. There are 2 things working against him. The first is that he just lost Florida, and it is likely that he will not do particularly well in some of the caucuses and primaries coming up. And the second thing he has against him is that I think the Republican leadership is very, very worried about him as a candidate. They see him as sure to lose to Obama and have rallied behind Romney. So I think his chances are extremely slim. And although it is up to him whether he takes it all the way to the convention, I think the likelihood of his actually getting the nomination is very, very slim.
Now, watching the Republican primaries from Europe is quite instructive. Whenever Romney and Gingrich talk about Europe, it is part of their anti-Obama rhetoric, as in Obama wants a European-style entitlement society, a European welfare state, European socialism. Who believes this in America?
Well, unfortunately, Europe has, to some extent, especially for American conservatives, become a code word for the welfare state, for entitlements, for social democratic social safety nets larger than those that we have in the United States. So for those who believe that the government is already too intrusive in American economic and social affairs, Europe is, in some sense, their representative of just how intrusive a state can be. A Republican electorate that's quite conservative sees Europe as everything they're trying to avoid in the United States. That is, a social welfare state that grows and grows over time.
All right, we'll keep following the primaries very closely. That's Jeffrey Frieden, professor of government at Harvard University. Thank you so much for being with us, as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you again, Stefan. Good to speak to you.